Hi everybody, George Fennell, Steel Shield Technologies, Weapon Shield. We're back today to do another video, this time to show you the ability of Weapon Shield. A good friend of mine, Brandon Edwards, had suggested that we do this video to show you how you can actually lighten your trigger pull a half pound to a pound by the use of Weapon Shield. And it's very easy. Basically what you need to do is just get to your hammer hooks and Sear, and you need one of these. A needle applicator with Weapon Shield in it. You can use something else if you like, and it's not going to work the same because Weapon Shield with its advanced boundary film is actually going to work with that highly polished surface on your Sear and on the hammer hooks that come together to actually establish that trigger pull. If your gun has been smithed, it's actually going to make it smoother and crisper when you go to fire it. If it's a, let's say, a mill standard M4, which we'll show you that too, or one of the standard 45 ACPs or 9mm that comes off the market, and they have like what we used to call a liability trigger, somewhere between 9 and 11 pounds, it can take a pound off of that, believe it or not. It's easy. The first thing you have is your Weapon Shield, and you have your needle oil applicator here, precision applicator. We're using a SIG and a Kimber frame. We've taken the slides off, which is the first thing you got to do. And that should be easy. You don't need to be a gunsmith. If you've never broke down your weapon, you need to learn how to go to YouTube and just type in, disassembly of a 1911 or a 45 ACP 1911, whichever. You'll find it. And it's very easy. You pop the retaining pin in the same position that it's supposed to be on the slide. Pull that out and take it forward. Be careful of your springs and things like that. Once you get it apart, and of course making sure that that weapon was unloaded before you start any of this, it's pretty easy. What we're going to do is this area right here where your hammer is, you can see the action right there. That's half cock and that's full discharge. Pull it back into the full position where it is fully cocked. Then what you want to do while it's in this full position is to take your precision oiler with Weapon Shield in it and go right down the front of the hooks until you meet the first little obstacle and put a generous drop across there. That's the Sear in your hammer hooks actually. So once you have done that, take that. I ease it down because I don't want that slamming my frame. It's just the shock value of the hammer hitting the frame itself is not good for it. It's not going to hurt it if you do it a couple times, but I wouldn't recommend it doing it all the time. But just by doing that, you're actually polishing that surface. It's better then if you put it back together. Once you reassemble the gun, you can then put a dummy round in it, or you can dry fire it, and you can feel the difference. What I would suggest first is to take that gun before you put any Weapon Shield on it and use a trigger pull gauge and measure your amount of pull. So let's say it's somewhere between, it could be 4 pounds or it could be 7 or 8, but you'll measure that pull first. Then after going down and applying the Weapon Shield to the hammer hooks and the Sear and put it back together and work it a little bit. Once you've pulled the trigger, dry fired it a couple times, put your trigger gauge back on, pull the trigger, and you'll see that it lightens anywhere between a half to a full pound. I've had some guys say it's actually given them about 1.5 pounds more, but that would be on real rough triggers. But this actually helps to lap and condition that trigger, but it's going to give you the maximum amount of smoothness and crispness that you can, and in fact you'll experience it yourself. On an AR-15 platform, it's pretty simple. Here's your hammer, and your hammer hooks basically are right here. I'll point them out. Right there. I don't know if we can get down. Can you see that, Matt? Okay. Right here, that first little tier, that's where you want to put the Weapon Shield. Just put a drop on there. Now, I've got a JP fire control system in there, so, but essentially it's going to be the same on everything. I've got lighter springs, everything, so This thing has about this is my SIG 400 pistol with the arm grip on it, and it's got about a 4-pound pull on it. But after you do that, just work it a couple times. But once again, prior to doing that, I would suggest putting your gauge on it, your pound gauge, and testing the pull. See how many pounds of pull you have. Then after you do that, put it on. You can work that. The other thing, if it's a mil-spec hammer and Sear system, which they're the heavy ones, they can be anywhere up to 11 pounds on these, real bears. But what you can do to even help smooth that up is once you've oiled that and put the weapon shield on it, grab the hammer and just pull up on it a little bit, not real hard, and then when you release it, that helps to lap that out a little bit more, so that you're causing a bit more pressure, so that it's kind of a forced polish and a forced lap. But you don't want to go too hard, because you don't want to, harm the surfaces between your hammer hook and your Sear. But basically, that's it. That's how you do it, and that'll get you, usually about another 1/2 to 1 pound lighter pull. So until next time, we're going to do another video shortly too, also on the dissolution effects, the dissolving of plastics, and the use of weapon shield solvent versus some of the other industry solvents, and show you just exactly how well the weapon shield works on those polymers and doesn't affect the polymer whatsoever, will not soften it or dissolve it. So till next time, this is George Fennell from Weapon Shield saying visit us at weaponshield.com. Please feel free to order from our suppliers. We have a complete list at weaponshield.com. If you click on the order button up on the top right, it'll give you that. If you have any questions or you'd like to order from us, please feel free to do so. Our number is 800-390-1535. This is George Fennell saying until next time, have a good one.